It's always nice when a fantastic shoe gets a welcomed update. We fell in love with Splay the first time we experienced the barefoot perfection of the Freestyle 1.0. So obviously we were super excited when we heard that they were coming out with an updated version. The point of this video is to give a little comparison between the old and the new, focusing on the key features and upgrades, what we think they did right, and what we think they could have done better. As always, there are timestamps down in the description if you're interested in jumping around to different parts of the video. To kick us off, let's send things over to Eric to talk about our first category of comparison as we set the original Freestyle and the Freestyle 2.0 to go toe-to-toe.
Alright, so let's start off with talking about the toe box difference between the Freestyle and the Freestyle 2.0. Now, according to Splay, they measure the exact same width, so that did not change, but the look of it certainly did. So if you look at the two of them right there, you can see that the Freestyle, the original is my white one here, is really squared off in the toe right there. So the first thing they did was they rounded that a little bit, and then the way that they did the paneling kind of hides the width on the Freestyle 2.0 as well. They picked up on what a lot of the European brands do, and they made this panel right here pointier than the actual shoe is, and there's extra width on the toe box on either side from what that panel shows. So I think they did a really good job with this toe box. It does feel just about the same to me as the original Freestyle, but it definitely looks better. Now, I know that some people out there were a huge fan of the way that this one came out because your big toe is supposed to be able to spread out in that direction, and I don't think that it's going to be hindered from doing that with this shoe, even though this has been rounded off quite a bit. This toe box is just so roomy. Your toes are going to have plenty of room to splay out in these shoes.
The first comparison that I'm going to make between these two shoes is going to have to do with the volume. So we'll start with the toe box volume and then we'll move into the overall volume. One report that we got a lot about the 1.0 for people was that the volume as far as the shoe touching the top of your foot was a little too low. Some people found it to be a little too tight. I would say that we initially thought similarly, but over time that canvas does break in and become way more pliable. So the volume in these didn't really bother us all that much. There are other Splay models that were worse when it came to volume than the Freestyle specifically, probably because the laces allow you to adjust that a little bit. I currently have one of each shoe on my feet, so I've got the 2.0 on my left foot, the 1.0 on my right foot, and just feeling them now, even though the canvas of the 1.0 is definitely way more broken in and softer, the 2.0 has more volume when it comes to the top of my foot. Moving on to overall volume, the 2.0 is definitely going to win there, no issues, because they widened the instep of the shoe, which was another issue lots of people had. A lot of people had concerns about how narrow the instep of the shoe was. Widening that not only made the profile look better, but also added overall volume to the shoe. So when it comes to added volume, we got to give it to the 2.0. That is definitely a welcomed improvement for this shoe.
Next up for me is talking about the comfort of the tongue on the shoe. And I mentioned this in our dedicated review, but the original Freestyle's tongue always bothered me. It came up too high on my ankle and was a bit of a thinner material, and so it just kind of rubbed my ankle in a way that I didn't really like. They fixed that with the 2.0. The tongue doesn't come as high on your ankle now, and it's a little bit more padded, so even where it does hit, it doesn't feel quite as abrasive as the original one did. So a big improvement in the comfort that they made with the 2.0 was with the comfort of the tongue.
The next comparison that I'm going to get into is the underfoot feeling and comfort. I'm going to talk about stack heights a little bit here because it has gotten messy and different with the 2.0s. With the 1.0s of all of the Splays, I believe they're all a standard 5mm base stack height. Doesn't matter which pair you got, and then they shipped with a 3mm flat insole. The new Splays, I'm actually going to read this off of the website because the stack height changes depending on which size you get. If you get Youth 4 through Men's 8, you have a 6mm stack height. If you get a Men's 9 through Men's 14, you get a 7mm stack height, and then they all come now included inside of the shoe, not just in the box, a insole that is 3.5mm. The unfortunate thing about the insole is that we do have almost some like arch support contouring and some heel cupping, which Eric hates that I don't really notice. The thing about Splays is I usually take the insoles out immediately, because when it comes to this specific kind of shoe, a casual shoe, which I also use religiously for lifting, I want as much ground feel as possible. I thought that the 5mm old Splays used to have the perfect balance of protection and ground feel for your foot at the same time, which made them fantastic for lifting, fantastic for just walking around all over the place. I wouldn't run in Splays personally, but now maybe you could, because you take that 3.5mm and stick it in here and you end up with 10.5, which is actually a pretty good running stack height. For me, I like less under my foot in a style of shoe like this. So I don't hate the extra 2mm base stack height that I get here, but I do miss that 5mm base stack height.
All right, we're going to take just a moment here to talk about some of the affiliates that we have going on with the channel right now. And the first one is going to be Splay Shoes. This is a company that we have really enjoyed our relationship with. We love these shoes. They look awesome. They let your feet function the way that they're supposed to. And so there's a lot to like about them, and they're priced super well. If you're interested in Splay Shoes at all, there is an affiliate link down in the description of our video. And we also have a 10% off discount code. So if you want to go shopping around, make sure you use that code to save yourself a little bit of money, and use that link to get over to the website. It really helps the channel out.
Are you looking to take your barefoot shoe experience to another level? Then you're going to need a solid pair of toe socks that lets you take advantage of all that toe box. We love Creepers Toe Socks, a sock that beat out 6 other toe sock brands in a comparison video we did that you can see through the card up in the corner. Whether it's cold or hot, whether you're hiking, running, or lounging, Creepers Toe Socks will ensure that your feet stay comfy, dry, and healthy. If you're interested in checking out Creepers, head down to the link in the description and use our discount code to save yourself 15% off at checkout.
Now, a hallmark attribute of any barefoot shoe is going to be its flexibility, and Splay shoes are super crazy flexible. You can roll them up just like it shows on the website, and it lets your foot function the way that it's supposed to. I did notice with the 2.0 that it does take a little bit effort for me to roll it up, but you still can get it in a ball here. So it does come out of the box a little bit stiffer than the original one did, but the more and more that I've used it, the more and more that it's broken in, so it's definitely not an issue at all. If you're looking for a flexible shoe, then these are right up there with some of the best ones.
The last comparison that I'm going to make between these two shoes before I give you my final opinion of the updates to the shoe is going to be the outsole. And from what I can see, the outsole is exactly the same. I think it's even probably the same rubber that they are using in the outsole. It's definitely the same pattern. All of this, even though they switched from a Mexican manufacturer to a Chinese manufacturer, move I'm not personally a huge fan of. The outsole seems exactly the same, except that it's a thicker stack height on the 2.0, and what that's going to do is that outsole is going to dictate how flexible the shoe is. So one thing I like to demonstrate with the Freestyle 1.0 is the fact that you could wring it out like a wet rag. If I soaked these things, which I'm not going to because I love them and want to keep them forever, I think that I could actually wring water out of them like that. Now with the 2.0, part of the reason why I don't think it does that as well, I'll show you here in a second. We still have some break-in to do on the 2.0s before that canvas has a chance to become as pliable as the 1.0s, which we've worn a ton. So while we do have good flexibility, I can't quite get it to twist all the way around the way that the 1.0 does. So the outsole is going to perform the same when it comes to grip and the pattern that it has on the bottom of it, but it's just a little bit thicker. With that, I want to give you my final opinion of the upgrades to the Freestyle with this new 2.0 version. Do I think that overall it is a better shoe? I would say yes. So the only drawback for me is that added stack height. Everything else about this shoe, I absolutely love what they've done with it. I think, again, the main thing that they've done is they've widened the instep overall widening the profile of the shoe, which makes that toe box look a little less jarringly wide, even though it still feels fantastically wide, one of the widest toe boxes on the market. It's just not quite square and pointy the way that the toe box of the 1.0 is. So I think these are welcome changes overall to the 2.0 that will draw more people to it, which is, I'm sure, exactly what they were trying to do. Huge fan of the 2.0 Freestyle. Excited to see the 2.0 features leak into the other styles that we've already reviewed of the 1.0 Splays. With my final opinion out of the way, now I'm going to pass things back over to Eric to give you his final opinion and the outro to the video.
Alright, so when it comes to this toe-to-toe challenge, we got two very similar shoes. Obviously, the original Freestyle, the Freestyle 2.0. Which one do we think wins? And it's definitely the Freestyle 2.0. We love the updates that they have made with this shoe. It looks awesome. The first one was a little bit jarring out of the box because of the way that the toe was squared. This one's been rounded off, and that looks great. It still has all of those barefoot qualities that we like flexibility and zero drop. And they were able to update the comfort of the shoe a little bit as well. They gave the toe box more volume, they fixed an issue that I had with the tongue, and they were able to add a little bit more to the insole. Even though it's still very little under your foot, it does give it a little bit more comfort there. So I said this in our dedicated review of the 2.0, but if you're somebody who bought the original Freestyle and then had some issues with it, maybe it wasn't high enough volume, or maybe you didn't like the look of it, then definitely look at the 2.0. The price is still the same. You can get 10% off from us. Now, if you're somebody who bought the original Freestyle and you love it and you're still rocking it and it's still going strong, just keep rocking that thing until it falls apart and then go for the 2.0. We think that you'll love the updates that have been made to it. As always, thank you for the view. We really appreciate it. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, make sure that you like and subscribe. That really helps the channel out. We're nearing 2,000 subscribers, which is pretty exciting for us. This is something that we really just love to do. It's a lot of fun for us. And we've got a ton of gear still coming in, so we're going to keep doing it. There are a few different places that you can get more content from us online. The first one that we'll mention is Patreon. That is a subscription service, and it costs $1 a month to subscribe to us, and that way you can get exclusive content that we don't release anywhere else on the internet. We also are very active on Instagram. You see all the boxes behind me. Chris does an unboxing video for almost every single shoe that we get in. So if you want to see what we're getting in our hands in the present time, then follow us on Instagram and you'll see those videos as we start getting the new gear in. And then come and follow us on Strava. That's an awesome app where you can log all of your active endeavors. So whether that's running or biking or hiking or swimming, you can log it on Strava, and it's a place where you can go and build a community. So come and follow us on Strava. We'll follow you back, join that community that we are starting to build, and we can all support each other in that active lifestyle. Thanks again for the view. We appreciate it, and we will see you in the mountains.